What if I told you that within 30 days, you could go from being completely ignored by your ideal clients to having them seek you out and hire you? Would you believe me or would you think, oh, just another internet expert? But it can happen. And I'm going to tell you exactly how in today's video. When we talk about the authority ladder and how to use it to amplify the way you get in front of people, especially corporate executives, and leave a lasting impression that's positive. If we haven't met yet, I'm Elisa Connor. This is the Marketing Menagerie. And on this show, we take the marketing that you're already investing in and tie it to results so that you're not spending more money on marketing that isn't working and instead getting results from the marketing that you're investing in. We're going to dive into the authority ladder, which is a simple 30-day plan that works even if you have 0 followers right now on LinkedIn. And it is going to help you build connected relationships with people instead of just one-off ads to your network that never go anywhere. So stick with me if you're interested in growing your LinkedIn followership and also growing connections from the people that actually follow and connect with you. So not just another checkbox on the, hey, I'm connected to them, but an actual conversation connection where you could reach out to them for something and they could reach out to you as well. That's how business has been done, and it isn't changing regardless of what happens with technology. One of the things that drives me a little bit bonkers is that every expert out there tells coaches you need to offer more tips and more information and more knowledge. We're in information overload at this point. AI can create information faster than we can even imagine it. And so if your marketing strategy is to just continue to create information, that's the same that everybody else is creating, you're going to have a really hard time standing out. And if you're trying to create that information for a one size fits all audience, you're really going to be on the struggle bus because not only is everyone else already doing that, but AI can do it in a nanosecond. And where do you think AI is getting the information? What AI does not have access to is what's going on in your head and how you've helped people already. And so we're going to tap into a framework that is going to help you utilize the things that you are already doing and that you have already done for people and spotlight those things so that you become attractive to your ideal audience. So when executives are coming to your LinkedIn profile, your website, whatever it might be, they're asking themselves 3 questions. And if you aren't answering these 3 questions within 5 to 7 seconds, probably less than that, if we're being honest, they're moving on. They're on the next train car to find somebody that can answer those questions because they know that that is their person. And then number 2, especially in the executive space, they're looking for proof. They want statistics, they want real numbers, and specifically if they apply to you and how you've helped other people, you have just boosted their confidence level in your ability to help them solve their problem tenfold. So if you haven't put those metrics into your description, into your profile, into whatever it is you're creating, go back and do it. And then the third piece that they're looking for is, do you actually know what you're talking about? Because there are a lot of BS artists out there, and you know what word. And the amount of experts that have magically appeared on the internet that actually have 0 experience is exponential. And so it's made people weary and a little bit leery of trusting anyone. So if you can show them that not only have you gotten people those results, but that you understand how those results came about quickly, succinctly, and easily, you've hit all 3 of their metrics. And they will more than likely move on to whatever it is your next call to action is. We're going to dive into that in another video because a lot of people get lost here as well. So if that's you and you're wondering, how am I going to fix all these things? How do I get these things going in the right places? How do I make sure I'm saying the right things? Stick with me. We have a 30-day plan that's going to take you less than 30 minutes a day to get through and grow your audience, attract the right people, and grow your client list. So, but first, we have to dive into what not to do, what's not working. So you can create a checklist of things that you need to change in your own business, because chances are you're probably doing at least one of these. So let's dive into those first. The first one is that you don't have any proof because your clients won't give you testimonials. And if that's you, there's a couple of reasons for why that is happening. Often, what I see coaches and consultants do is they wait till the very end of their engagement to ask for a testimonial. And if it's a very quick engagement, great, then I can see that, within 30 days, it takes a little bit of time to get people acclimated to how you work and start giving them results. However, most coaches and consultants that I work with have a 3 to 6 to 9 month minimum to work with them. And so they wait till month 9. Well, by month 9, nobody remembered what they were doing in month 3, and they didn't take the time to gather tidbits and improvements in their clients' words along the way. And if you aren't doing that, I highly recommend that you start adding that to your repertoire as something that you're gathering when you're having those consulting or coaching calls, because people easily forget. Like, most people don't even remember what they had for breakfast last week. How are they going to remember where they were in their business 6 months ago or 3 months ago? They're not. They're just going to remember where they are now and that they're thrilled that this is working, and they will completely forget the process that it took to get them there. Now, the other reason people don't give you testimonials is because, frankly, they just don't have time. And so oftentimes what I'll do is take the tidbits that I've gathered along the way and I put them into a testimonial, and I'll send it to them and I'll say, hey, I got this started for you. Can you just edit it in your voice and, change the things that you want to change? I just wanted to save you some time. So if you take the initiative to actually put down the things of, hey, you were here, now you're here, along the way, and you write it up for them, they're going to be like, oh yeah, change this, this, and this. And then you're done. Now, the other thing I find, and I have had so many clients that I've had this happen with, is there's no central hub for testimonials. And so their team, when I go to say, hey, we need testimonials for the website, we need testimonials over here, we need a case study here, they're like, yeah, I have no idea. The CEO founder has those somewhere on their computer, but they're in another city, so I can't get to them. So I highly recommend that you have a shared drive folder, whether that's Dropbox or on Microsoft or whatever your team uses. Most of the people I work with use Google Drive. Create a document that is shared with all your testimonials and case studies, because then it's easy to go and pull the information for the testimonials. And then if you have images from those people, even better, put those in a separate file and just call it testimonial images and label each image with the person's name. Because that way, if you're working with somebody that's trying to design a website for you or trying to create, speaking materials or whatever it is, they have access to that and they can go in and grab what they need. And they're not constantly asking you when you're trying to get 20 other things done for the information they need to, put your presentation together or create a new post for LinkedIn or whatever it is. It's all in one location. So that's just a quick tip for you. Now, the second reason that testimonials aren't working for you and aren't offering proof to your ideal clients is they are flippin' boring. Like, nobody wants to read a boring testimonial, and they for sure don't want to read a testimonial that doesn't say anything. How many generic testimonials have you seen on websites where you're like, what does that even mean? If those are your testimonials, you want to get rid of them. That is not a good plan, because people are looking, again, to ensure that you have the expertise and knowledge to solve their problem. And if you aren't showcasing that, and instead you're showcasing a bunch of generic blah, 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 they're moving on. Like they do not, that has not built any trust or authority with them. So they're not going to invest with you. I mean, would you invest with somebody that said, yeah, I can fix cars? Really? What can you fix? I can fix everything. On what kind of cars? All of them? Really? So you can fix a semi truck and you can also fix, um, my Porsche. I kind of doubt it, but that's how a lot of testimonials read. And so get really specific with what you're having people talk about during their experience and stick to transformations. If you can talk about where they were and where you got them to in their words, you have gold. The third problem that I run into, and this is with clients that are in, so if you missed the episode where I talk about the 3 stages of business, I have another video on that. I'll pin it somewhere here. And it's going to help you identify where you are in business, which is really important because if you don't know what stage of business you're in, then it makes it really hard for you to know what to focus on. And along with those stages of business, you have the opportunity to focus on the things that are going to move the needle further, faster. And so if you missed that video, I'll pin it up here. But if you don't know which stage of business you're in, I made it really easy for you. I have a business stage assessment that you can go take. It's for free. And it will not only tell you what stage you're in, but it's going to give you some great insights on what to focus on, how long to focus on them, and when you are ready for the next stage. So if you want to take that assessment, you can find it with the link below. And I've also pinned the first comment with that link. So when you're in the start phase of business, so the 3 phases are start, optimize, and scale. And if you're in the start or moving into the optimized stage, or maybe even into the optimized stage, you might have a little bit of imposter syndrome because you might be thinking, yeah, I've had some really great clients, but it's only been like 1 or 2 people. And I don't have enough case studies. I don't have enough testimonials. If that's the case, then it's even more important to share those wins along the way because you could have 2 or 3 transformational testimonials from the same client. If they're continuing to gain progress by working with you, the relationship is evolving. And so they're not going to be in the same spot they were 3 months ago as they are in month 4 and month 5 and beyond. And so while you're gathering those testimonials, it's perfectly fine to showcase and to highlight different phases of their engagement. And so if you aren't doing that, do that. But the other things that you can focus on are like, how much time does it save them? They don't have to be these giant numbers of wins because each of these things add up to profit and revenue and their big goals. But if you're focusing only on the big goals and you haven't gotten there yet, or you've only gotten there with a couple people, focus on the other things that are important. You've saved them a lot of time. You've gotten the right people on their team. You have the right processes in place. They're running more efficiently. Whatever it is, like they're meeting their goals. They're meeting their personal goals. They're meeting their organizational goals, all of those things, whatever it is, like focus on the big picture rather than just the small, this is what they want. Because there are different steps that get them to that result. The big problem that people run into, that's number 4, is that they don't know how to ask for a testimonial. If that's you, go ahead and raise your hand. I get it. That was me too. But the reality is most people want to help, especially if you've helped them. So get over your fear, send them a voice note, send them a voice message on any place that you're connected, or most of my clients, I'm connected not only on email, but I have a business number that we communicate back and forth, and I can leave voice messages there. There are apps like WhatsApp, Signal, and you just send them a quick note and say, hey, it's such a pleasure to work with you. I'm so grateful that we are having this experience. Can you capture, like in the last month, what you were feeling at the beginning of the month and where we're at now? Tell me, can you just put in a few words what is happening? The other way to do this is like, maybe you don't even ask them. Maybe you just start using some sort of recording app for your meetings and you transcribe those meetings and pull out the tidbits. I mean, use AI to your advantage for things like that. That's a great use for AI. If you're looking, I mean, you might already have a meeting app, but I use Read AI. I do not get any kind of kickback from them, but I really like that they transcribe and also pull out key components of the meeting because it makes it really easy for me to go pull testimonial information. So that's number 4. If you don't know how to ask, just take it from their perspective. Like, where have you taken them on this journey? Make it quick and make it easy. It doesn't have to be painful. It doesn't have to be long. And I'm sure they're going to be happy to help. And then the last problem that people run into is they just simply forget to track their results. Again, this is a great opportunity for your favorite AI meeting note taker to be your best friend. Because if you're recording those client meetings, which I highly recommend because it's going to save you a ton of time, you're not going to drop the ball on anything. It's going to transcribe everything that's in there. But this also helps you be accountable for we're at this part of the process. They should be seeing this by now. And if they're not, it gives you the time to evaluate like why they're not seeing that. So it's also a good business tactic. But in addition, if they are, then you can point out, you were here, now you're here. How are you feeling about that? They're gonna be like, oh, I feel terrific. Well, who wouldn't? You're already getting results. Why wouldn't you feel terrific? So now that you know what those 5 problems are and you want to address them and eliminate them, let's dive into the 30-day plan. So the first thing you want to do is when you're posting on social media, and most of you are probably posting on LinkedIn, is we don't want to throw everything out into the universe that we do. And this is what I see most coaches and consultants do. If I ask them, hey, what do you do? Oh, I do leadership development and I do planning and I do strategy and I do this and I do transformation and we work on resilience. And it's just like blah, 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 blah. You just threw out every keyword search term that the internet has ever provided for executive coaching. Congratulations. So is everybody else. Number 1, it's not a problem. It's a solution. And so you're not heading into a conversation talking about your client like you know them and what they're struggling with. Number 2, you're already jumping into solutions that they may not even know that they need. And so I beg and plead with you, choose one problem area, just one. And most of the time I recommend choosing the biggest problem area for your clients. So, for example, I have a client right now, and his background is in manufacturing operations, specifically in furniture. And there's been a little bit of a battleground getting him to focus, and we're getting there. But the reality is he has experience in other areas, and his clients might be ready for those once they determine he's the right fit to help them with their biggest problem. One of the biggest problems that these manufacturing plants have is they have no processes in place to keep things running all the way from the top down. And so if he were to focus on the simplification of process creation, creating specific processes for line managers around employee engagement, retention, and culture. So often, the struggle of an organization, especially in manufacturing, comes down to people. And when we're talking about that, he's like, you might have everybody show up one day and they know what they're supposed to do and everybody's doing their part. Well, the next day, half the people have quit or they don't show up or whatever. And so then the other half of the people are juggling because there's no process in place to manage like what to do when half of the people are missing. And so if he focused on that problem, and that was something that manufacturing companies really struggle with, how much of the noise do you think he's going to cut through other than just talking about, I do leadership development for manufacturing? Great, you and like 10,000 other people. And so when we're looking at how we want to reach those leaders and we start talking about a specific problem that they're experiencing in their organization that they know is impacting revenue, profit, efficiency, all of the things that really are important to their organization for growth. When we start talking to them like that, they're paying attention. And so choose one problem and then make that your focus for what you're going to post about. And make it simple, make it easy. Start with what the problem is costing them. So if you're looking at employees, Like you need to go and figure out how much it costs them to hire an employee, keep an employee, lose an employee, and rehire. And if you don't know those costs, Google's your friend, go and research them or ask your clients, what is it costing you to not have this process nailed out? And then come up with one insight that they can put into effect to start to address the problem. They're never going to be able to figure the whole problem out on their own. They're going to still need you, but give them a breadcrumb for Pete's sake. You want them to move forward, you got to start somewhere, right? When you give them an insight and one action step to go with that insight, they're going to go and do that on their own and realize, oh boy, I've just jumped into the deep end. I don't have a life preserver. I need help. And then they're going to pick up the phone and they're going to call you because you're the one that got them started in the right direction. Then your next step in that same post is to create some kind of soft invite, whether it's like, hey, I created a checklist for you to, walk through so you can check these things. You can get it, just DM me or go to my website and download it, whatever it is, but make it applicable to the one problem that you're solving for them right now. So for example, I work with a lot of coaches and consultants that are also speakers, and they get on stages and they have not prepared at all to generate leads. Their idea of generating leads is, hey, I'll meet at the back of the room and I'll try to sell you my book, my services, my whatever, blah, 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 on and on. It doesn't work. 97% of those people are walking out the door. And if you're in a room of 100 people, that's 97 people. And so I created a checklist for those people that they need to complete before, during, and after the event so that they can generate leads and increase that percentage by 30%. That is a specific problem with a specific solution. And when they implement it, they're going to realize, oh boy, I don't know how to do all of these things on this checklist, but that's okay. That's why I'm here. And so do that for your own business. That's week 1. Simple, easy, put it into action. Okay, and then week 2, we're going to talk about case studies. And if you don't have case studies created already for your clients, this might take a little extra work for you. You might have to go back and think through where your clients started before they worked with you and where they're at now. If you are really new in business and you don't have case studies, you might have to get a little bit more creative with this and come up with examples of people that you could help where they would start and where they would end up. I'm not saying lie. I'm not saying promote something that you can't do, but utilizing your system, your framework, whatever it might be, your special sauce, walk through 2 scenarios. And when you're walking through those scenarios, describe the situation, like where they are now, the problems they're experiencing, all of the implications of those problems, what you did to help them, the number 1 change they experienced after you helped them, what that meant to their business and why it worked. Like, why did it work over what somebody else told them to do? What they could try if that solution didn't work. So like if it was one scenario and they tried this, but that wasn't quite it because that wasn't the exact solution for their problem, here's another angle that you could go at it with. And then one line or one sentence or one tidbit of a testimonial that showed that it worked and how it worked for them. And then what's the next step for the person reading the case study to get started? Like, is it to book a call? Is it to how are you tying in what you do to the case study that you're featuring? And even better is if you can get the person to do a video conference or a back and forth with you to talk about their situation and their problem and how it was to work with you. A video case study is fantastic because you can not only use the video, but you can transcribe it and turn it into 100 other things. So creating 2 mini case studies, they don't have to be long. You're just asking those simple questions and featuring those is going to build authority with people who don't know you because they can put themselves into that specific situation that you helped somebody else with And it starts ding, 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 ding off their own, in their own mind, like, hey, that's us. We have that same problem. I bet that this person can help us. So the third week, you want to create some kind of recording, whether you're speaking at a summit or somebody invites you on their podcast, or you have your own podcast, or you do your own videos, and you want to, one, just like you would create any kind of video, create a hook that grabs their attention, then create, again, offer an insight that is teaching them something about their singular problem, the situation that they're most concerned about. And then last, like, give them a call to action. What's really great about creating a video, even if it's 10 or 15 minutes where you're teaching and you're sharing your knowledge and you're sharing your experience, is that one, it builds connection. The longer that somebody stays engaged with your video and really tunes into your video, the quicker the trust builds. But the other great part about creating a video, or, even if it's I used to do a lot of collaborations with people who have the same audience that I do, is that when you can collaborate with someone and offer two points of view, it shows what you can do. It helps them to put themselves in the shoes of the situation that you're describing. But even better, you can turn that one video into multiple clips where you can just feature it in short form places like shorts or stories or reels, or depending on, wherever it is you're featuring your content. And if it's on LinkedIn, short videos still perform well. If you can take the most relevant piece of that video and put that out in a 15 to 30-second clip, you're going to grab their attention. Worst case scenario, they're going to go watch the rest of the video or share it with somebody else. Best case scenario, they're not only going to watch the rest of the video, they're going to reach out to you and go, hey, that's me. Help. Writing help in the sand. So that is what you want to do week number 3. It can be scary. It can be a little bit out of your comfort zone, but sometimes we have to do hard things if we want different results. Week 4 is all about reaching your current network, the people that you've already worked with, and anybody that already knows you, and asking them to introduce you to people that would be a great fit for you. So if you haven't created a one page for your offer, and if we're talking about a specific offer that we're implementing this week, like, have a specific one page that talks about, if we're using the example of my client, how we're going to document processes within your manufacturing organization so that the people on the line are still able to operate efficiently and effectively and get out the demanded number of units. Like, have a one page that talks about all of those things so that you can hand it to people and say, hey, if you know people that are struggling with this, can you introduce me? Like, who do you know? Because it's always the connections that you've already made that are going to get you the warmest introductions and the most leads. And a lot of times when we're trying to reach out to strangers, I'm not saying that's not something to do, but it's harder to build that trust. When you have a warm introduction from somebody that already knows you and that's already worked with you, the chances that that person that they're introducing you to is going to be open and receptive to hearing from you is much higher. So what do you need to put in the one page? Well, don't talk all about you. Again, let's talk about the problem. So let's talk about number 1, who it is you help. And the more specific you can get, the easier it's going to be for the people you're asking to refer you to do so. What's their biggest problem? Like, what are they struggling with? If you can address their problem and the emotions and situations around that problem that they're experiencing, they're going to resonate with you. They're going to be like, hey, this person totally gets me. Like, I can't believe, like, where have they been all my life? I've heard that so many times. Where have you been all my life? Because I understand my client. I understand their biggest struggles. And when you can do that, you become very powerful because you start to rent space in their mind rent free. Then you want to give them, how you help them solve that problem, the solutions you provide. And yes, this is where you can start to talk about the things you do, but not in a long checklist. It's like, we work with you to get this result, and this result, and leave it at that. because when you start to dump everything you do into a document, it's just overwhelming and they don't want to read it. They look at it from the perspective of like, oh my God, that's going to take so much time. That is so complicated. I don't want to do that. Like it's too overwhelming. It's going to take too much time. The investment monetarily and time-wise is not worth it. And so they will stay stuck in the pain rather than moving forward. And then on that one pager, if you so choose, you can include it or put it separately. I recommend doing it separately, but what's the best way to introduce you to somebody? The reason I say to keep that piece separate is that if you are talking to different audiences or different connections that you've met in different ways, you will probably need to customize that last part. And rather than putting it into a document that says, here's the best way to introduce me, it gives you the freedom to not only customize it, but if they decide to forward on the one sheet to somebody else, it doesn't have that, hey, make an introduction piece at the bottom of it. But it's important to create that connection between you, the person you already know, and the person they're going to introduce you to. All right, so you may be saying to yourself, like, this seems like I'm just repeating myself every week. And that's the idea. If you've been on the channel for a hot minute, then you know we have talked about the 7-11-4 principle. And that principle basically states that you have to appear in front of somebody new that doesn't know you at least 7 times before they ever pay attention to you. And so when we put repeat information out there, the likelihood that that person's going to pay attention the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, it grows every time. Not only that, but the more places that you can show up, ideally 4 or more, the more likely they're going to say, hey, what is this? Is this person following me around the internet? Well, yes, I am, on purpose, because I want to get your attention. Once you get their attention, then you have another 11 touch points that you have to have with that person before they ever become a client. So a lot of people want a magic marketing pill. They want it to happen instantly. The reality is that, especially with coaching and consulting, it takes longer to build the trust factor because you're asking for a higher investment. The higher the investment, the longer it takes to build trust and get to yes. If you're not willing to put in the work and build the relationships and actually create conversation with people, you're probably in the wrong industry. And those quick sales turn into refunds and people canceling and you not being able to get them results. And so if that's the world you're looking for, you're going to really struggle with the role that you've chosen to follow for a career. So we have gone through a lot today, and I just want to do a quick recap for you on the things that we've talked about. We went through the 5 problems that most people experience when they're trying to gather testimonials, as well as addressing how to handle those problems if you have them. Then we went through a weekly step process to start to put your information, especially build your expertise and authority on LinkedIn by showcasing your clients, their experience, and the results you've gotten them. So even though each of the weeks we broke down seems like it's repetition, it really isn't. It's just showcasing what you do in a different way, a different fashion, and in a light that puts you in front of the same people telling the same story again and again, because they may say, oh, hey, I read this. Oh yeah, by the way, now I'm seeing the video on it. Like, the more times we can put that information in front of them, the more likely you're going to grab their attention and that they're going to move forward with you. I'd love to know what your results are when you implement this plan, because I will bet you that you will have more people reach out to you by implementing this short 4-week plan than you have by just posting randomly on LinkedIn. So if you want to reach out to me, just leave a comment below and let me know how it's working for you. If you found value in this video and you are excited to put it into action, I bet you know somebody else who would find it relevant too. I'd love for you to share it. And if you're enjoying the content on the channel, please subscribe, because I love all my new subscribers and I'm so grateful to you. So thanks so much for tuning in this week. I look forward to talking to you next week. In the meantime, take care, be well, and I'll see you soon.